The Football Pod, live.
Are you sure we can tell this?
Championship season is here, which means one thing. The Football Pod are hitting the road again. First up, Donegal, as Paddy, James and Tommy look ahead to Donegal's clash with Tyrone with some very special guests.
Jesus.
No. Family show.
It's happening at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Friday, May 24th. Tickets are €20 plus booking fee. They are limited, so don't delay. Go to offtheball.com/events to book your seat now. The Football Pod, live in Donegal. All with thanks to AIB. Hashtag the toughest.
It was quality.
Hello there, and you're very welcome back to the Football Pod. Sunny evening. Good weekend of ball. Myself and Paddy Andrews were in Crow Park yesterday watching Bruce Springsteen. What a show, Paddy.
So boy, I thought you were like, we're at a match there. I was like, what was I in Crow Park? I said, I was. He's deadly now, yeah. As I was saying to Tommy, I don't know as many of the classics as you do. So I was like, Bruce, come on, work with me here. Board to run, kick off for board to run. and he didn't fucking do it until the encore was something else. And then a rainy night in Soho.
Oh yeah, well. Beautiful.
He's a showman, isn't he? With deadly savage crowds, beautiful evening as well. Too. What always helps. Outdoor concert, the sun was shining. It was lovely walking in with my wife last night. A lovely evening at Croker. Yeah, change of pace from the usual trips in there.
Yeah,
I was over at Girls Aloud.
Were you?
Oh yeah.
They're still looking well. I'd say.
You weren't sure that was a bit serious. No, I wasn't.
I heard it was Jimmy.
I actually got cheaper tickets to Girls Aloud for Christmas. She would have been a big fan of them growing up, but she was sick at the weekend. She couldn't go to Bruce either.
Who wasn't?
She had to sell her Girls Aloud tickets. Really upset her. So, James, I wasn't sure if you were serious there.
It would have been good.
Jimmy, it's all right. Jimmy, if you're a fan of Girls Aloud, I think we are.
I was Spice Girls.
I think we'll all be honest.
Loyal Spice Girls fan from being 8 to 10.
You had somebody on your wall, didn't you?
Baby
Ginger
Spice.
Spice.
There you go.
Ginger Spice. No, Emma Bunton. Emma Bunton and David Beckham on the other wall with the Prince.
Oh,
that's
wow.
great times.
Glory days.
They were the good days.
Got me thinking, standing in Crow Park yesterday. I walked over to the Cusick side at one side, I was on the pitch, and when the lights kind of come on around Croker, and Bruce is there playing to 80,000 people. What's it like when the lights come on that hour after the All-Ireland final and you're on your own there and you're looking up in this glorious stadium?
I'm not sure it's the lights aren't that. I just finished at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, never, not even the 2016 final after the replay.
No, you do go out and sit on the pitch. We said it last year, obviously at the final, the last couple of finals. Players do generally come back out onto the pitch. They have their shower and all the gear. The dressing room was fairly hectic for the hour afterwards. Go off to the players' lounge, get a couple of pints as well. But yeah, I went back out to the pitch a couple of times when the stadium's empty. Lights weren't on now, but it's a very cool thing sitting out on the pitch with the Sam Maguire with a couple of lads. Like it's the best of times.
You're obviously not looking when the game is on, but are you aware, or can you pick out faces, or is it just after the game?
No.
After the game?
I don't know, Jim, when you're walking around, you kind of, you know where your family and stuff are. So I went up to the stand a couple of times, yeah. But during the match, absolutely not.
You did the Wimbledon thing. You climbed up the stadium.
That's why my back is so fucked. I got more injuries trying to climb over those bloody barriers in the Hogan stand up to my mum and dad and my family and stuff. But no, you don't notice during the game. Jesus, no. When it was a sub at the end, yeah, you do kind of have a look around because your race is run. But no, they're nice moments, all right, though. Yeah.
I used to try and see people in the parade, all right.
Did you?
So when you're walking around, I'd be looking to see who I'd see. I think it just kind of settles you, better, grounds you a bit, because you can get very into your own thoughts there very quickly in the parade, especially. You know, when you have you've time there on your own, you're walking around, the nerves are getting. You're better off just trying to think of nothing, just maybe focus on something small, like yeah.
And do you ever have a moment where you spotted someone and you were like, "Oh yeah"?
No, I just noted it and I go on to the next one. I wouldn't be waving it.
A mental note.
I don't know how that would go down. What's this fella at?
waving around like.
Yeah. Okay. That was Bruce last night. Bit of breaking news after coming through from Mayo to go to a grim note.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Paddy Durcan's season, the Mayo captain, is over. Suffered a cruciate injury in pretty much the last play of the game against Cavan and remaining as Mayo captain, but just brutal news. We had it last week on the pod where I hadn't realised that Paddy Lynch had suffered this fate. And, you know, it's just awful, like these injuries that are happening to players and they're missing out on a summer of football ahead.
That's three big ones in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Derry had McGrogan, Paddy Lynch, arguably Cavan's most important player. Paddy Durcan, like I know Mayo got a good win at the weekend, as you'd expect at home to Cavan. That's just a massive.
And Durcan was
blow.
carrying a knock into the game, wasn't he? Because he didn't play the previous.
Yeah,
he played the Connacht final, so he must have been carrying something. Maybe just compensating a bit or something.
But he's so important. He's so important to them. Like obviously as captain and leader and experience and all that stuff, but just on the pitch, transitioning, his scores from deep, his man marking ability, he's just so pivotal to them, and it's you never like seeing players, particularly in the middle of the championship. That's a big blow for Mayo, but for him personally, that's a tough place to be. Yeah,
He was born in '94, so he's 30.
He'll be back, like, but
he has time, but it's not a good age to do it, really, is it? Do you know?
For a good age to do it, but like you look, what is it? It's usually 9 months, 9 to 12 months, probably before you're back really at your best. So maybe you hope to maybe get a bit at the end of the National League next year, going into Championship perhaps. But look, he'll be in the best of hands. Try and turn it around to himself, Paddy Lynch and McGrogan. You never like saying that.
I hadn't planned to start with Mayo after the weekend that was, but it was worth noting that it was the first time since the league semi-final in 2021 that Cillian O'Connor, Tommy Conroy and Ryan O'Donoghue started a game together in the Mayo full forward line.
I like that full forward line. I like it.
Do you like the balance of it?
I do like it. They've all got something a bit different.
Yeah, like Conroy again, we've seen moments, still fleeting moments of his potential that he illustrated a couple of years ago. But O'Donoghue kicked 7, O'Connor 4, Tommy didn't score, but that's a nice balance there, as you mentioned. Nice attack. But again, Mayo feel like they're getting into their groove a bit. I was trying to look at the Connacht form line ahead of a piece tomorrow morning on breakfast.
Jimmy, a roof will shake your head there, Jimmy, as I look at you here. You're not having Mayo at all, are you?
No, I am. Mayo they're going to be there and thereabouts, but they're not. You can't judge Mayo on a Paddy Lynch-less Cavan.
Yeah,
that's it. Like that, and the more that these games have gone on and on, you can't judge the top teams anymore until they're playing each other, because you're getting a false read. It's just not. Because then you're trying to do predictions and you're kind of saying, well, they did well against Cavan, they're going well. They're not. It's only when they're playing.
Is this you trying to get us out of all our dodgy predictions? I like this. I'll back you up, Jimmy.
You're going
hard
there.
To predict it. I know how I am. Did we all go big on? We all went big on Derry last week, and that fucking came home to buy this. I had this conversation with Mark O'Shea on Saturday. He was giving it the big one about Kerry being poor in the second half, and I was like, really, like that was a non-game. Like when for 20 minutes, when Kerry needed to do anything, they absolutely annihilated man. You can't read into Kerry being. Kerry were.
They were very good in the first half. Yeah,
exactly. So second half, like that, Jack had rolled the whole bench by the end of the third quarter. Like you can't read into the last 20 minutes of that game. So, and I agree with Mayo. It's a good win for them. They did exactly what they had to do. Score 20 points. So that's not bad. The Sourdough was obviously losing, arguably definitely one of their most important players. But Cavan were going to be up against it anyway. But without Paddy Lynch, they're going to struggle at all to get points. They play Roscommon at the Dubs as well. So for Mayo and for Kerry, I know we'll talk about Kerry later on, they could have did what they had to do. So it's...
Like we were saying about Mayo, that they weren't great against Galway last week, and that that they're struggling for form, and then they beat Cavan. There's still glaring holes in the Mayo setup, or in their attack especially, that are still there. And even if they do kick 20 points against Cavan, they're still going to be there until they meet the top teams and get over one of them. Then we can say, right, there might be something they're onto here. Like I think because Galway have done that, and that's the headspace I'm in with Galway at the moment. They've done that, but Mayo beating a Cavan isn't going to get you back up there, I don't think.
What's your thoughts, Jimmy, on that forward line? Because that's a big call McStay has to make, obviously, with Killian O'Connor and Aidan O'Shea. Aidan O'Shea was somebody, I think he had a bit of a knock, maybe. I agree with you. I think we're in full agreement. I don't think Mayo, I think they're probably finished second in this group. If the draw is kind to them, they might make a semi-final, but they're not all Ireland contenders. But what would you say, what's their best forward line?
I'd still play Aidan O'Shea, even if it wasn't necessarily inside. I'd have him on the field, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I would as well.
The others are out and out inside players, so it would mean moving Aidan. Like you couldn't move any of the others.
That's where they fallen down with Aidan O'Shea in the past, though, where he's kind of been trying to fit him in around the pitch.
Fit him in is the problem.
They kind of landed on something with him at full forward, and there's times where it's worked, but do Mayo have enough scoring power to leave Killian O'Connor out? I mean, he starts the game, he scores 4 points for playing the weekend. I know he's been in and out of the team. I'd play him. If I
Mayo played Kerry, Mayo played Kerry, and Kerry went after him in terms of they put Tom Sullivan on him and ran the arse off him. Like, and there's ways obviously to protect your highly talented players in that way, but if you had that situation again, you know, I'd rather have him on the field. Like I said about Stephen Campbell, I'd rather have him on the field at the end to make big plays when the pressure's on. The pressure's on. But I mean, it is nice. It's an interesting foot forward line, but I don't think it's
Tommy Conroy more. Like I always thought about this thing with players coming off the bench. This is what I never was never great coming off the bench. Like it's if you have real pace, like that is just for 20 minutes at the end of a game. If you have lightning pace, the space is there. Even against set defences, the last 20 minutes, the last quarter is chaotic. And if you've raw pace coming off the bench, which to be fair, Ryan O'Donoghue, Killian O'Connor, Aidan O'Shea probably don't have, do you play with these guys where they're more nuanced in their play? They're not that Tommy Conroy isn't, but I think the guys are more, they can be more subtle, they can probably work things a bit better, whereas Tommy Conroy comes out with 20 minutes to go. Jesus Christ, there's not a defender in the country that wants to deal with that. These are decisions McStay has to make, but
are you thinking Shane Kingston impact for Cork, like what a super sub in the hurling? He comes on at the weekend and he has 4 points in 4 minutes.
Yeah, do you know, guys,
at pace.
The last thing you want as a defence in the last quarter is real pace coming off the bench. And like, say Mayo play, they probably won't face it against Dublin or Roscommon, but say they get to a quarter final, they're playing in Armagh or at Derry. The teams are going to be so well set defensively, and Galway to an extent as well, for 45, 50 minutes. That's probably not Tommy Conroy's greatest strength, with all due respect. Do you know what I mean? So look, I just think, I see Killian O'Connor plays the weekend, first start in a while, kicks 4 points for play. Okay, it's against a weaker opposition, but I don't think Mayo have the luxury of not playing out-and-out scorers because I don't think they have the scores, particularly now without Paddy Durcan, who's always good for 2 or 3. It's just an interesting thing to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. They have the Rossies next, don't they? Over in the Hyde, which is that could go either way, but you probably back Mayo to get the same result they got in the Gaelic semi-final.
Just on, I suppose, the use of, we'll say, for want of a better word, the elder statesman, right? And McStay is obviously flip-flopping between O'Shea and O'Connor, and it's either one or the other. It's not both. It was telling, definitely, in Killarney at the weekend, and I actually caught a nice picture of the two lads swapping jerseys after the game, Paul Gainey and Conor McManus. Gainey, two legends. I think if the game was a bit closer, maybe ended up in a draw, I might have chanced the two of them to have a chat together about the game itself because they were having a nice little chat afterwards. But Gainey comes away with 5 points. He's buzzing. He's flying. He's grown into his form. Conor McManus spent so much of that game back in his own full back line. There was one stage getting kickouts.
I was like, "What? This is not his bag." Like
he was nearly sweeping in front of Clifford.
It was never his bag, but it's definitely not his bag now.
Like I'm just thinking,
he cut out a kick pass as well in the first half under the terrace.
He did, and I'm just thinking, like for you two boys, like James, you're the same goal as O'Shea, Gainey, Kieran O'Connor, Paddy. Manzi's maybe a year older than you, maybe a bit more.
Yeah, it's a year older than me.
Like, what can be done to that this game isn't just for 20s at inter-county level. Like the 30s are getting room to play as well. Like what can be done to get them on the field or keep them over in here?
You have to remember last year's Ulster Championship with Derry absolutely blitzed Monaghan up in Alma, and Derry's coach came over and was actually speaking to us after the game and spoke about Jack McCarron and Conor McManus. It's like 100% we told our defenders to target them. McCluskey gets a goal in that game, sprinted up the pitch, and the lads didn't go back. So Vinnie Corey's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place going, well, you have to go back. But that doesn't suit Jack McCarron and Conor McManus. So then what you do is you take your two scoring forwards out of the team and replace it with runners. This is the challenges managers face, because the reality is at this stage of the championship, we're playing the top teams. I think Derry have a problem with this, and we'll get to that. Teams know, they analyse you so much, your strengths, your weaknesses, and it's never nice, but they target players. They absolutely target players. And if you're playing Monaghan, for all the strengths Conor McManus has, he's been around for so long, an exceptional player, obviously, but it's never been a strength going back that way. And I don't think there's many quarter forwards that you could say, we love running back towards our own goal, but particularly Conor McManus doesn't. So Vinnie Corey plays him, and this is the character of Conor McManus. He's like, I'll work, I'll run back, I'll sprint back, and he's getting kickouts off begging, he's back in his own full back line. That is not where he has no impact. He's no impact on the game there. So then that's the challenge. I thought Monaghan's structure, both teams kind of played, and Thomas Sullivan actually referred to it afterwards as man of the match interview, was like, the real game has just gone, it's up, and teams attack and defend in waves. The positions are kind of becoming more and more defunct. We spoke this with like Tyrone in the past, but all teams are starting to mirror each other, and Kerry could deal with that. Their athleticism was a lot better. But like for Monaghan, I don't think they ever had any shape up front. Conor McManus never got the ball in really dangerous positions. Not just Conor McManus, but I just don't know if they gave themselves the best chance.
Yeah,
they're up against it anyway. But I just think the structure of the game really just did not suit them either.
Yeah, they were disgusted after the game. You could tell that. Yeah, while the 6-week break didn't help them, I don't think that they expected to tank as much as they did in that first half. So I don't know, James. Do you want to come in on that, or is there anything that you've noted on that?
I suppose the thing about the older players is tricky. I think they will target you.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. Just keep going.
They will target you, but that's why I think you almost have to be. You have to almost be fitter or something. Like you can't show that weakness. Fair enough, you're older, but if you're older and maybe you're missing a lot of training and you're being minded too much, you're not going to be as fit either, and then you're definitely under pressure then. Like you could see with Gainey, he's an incredibly hard trainer. Like he is ultra fit, and he minds himself. He eats everything. I'd say he weighing the broccoli and everything. That kind of fella. In terms of everything is into performance and into training. So I don't think he's going to be caught out by someone trying to run him. I think he still has the legs for it.
Jack was saying that after the game as well, that the way he minds himself has put himself into contention here.
He might have the pace.
But Jimmy, it's not just that though. No doubt Gainey aerobically he'll do everything he can. We've all been there as older players, do everything you can just to drag the arse and try and get 1% more out of it. But it's what suits him. Could Gainey run back into the half-back line of Croke Park and all-Ireland semi-finals points? He probably could, but he's not going to have a good game. This is where it comes in. This is where the coaches and the structure of your team and your attack in particular is so critical. Yeah, and Conor McManus, to his credit, I don't think he was gasping for air running back into his own half and doing all that stuff. But you're not getting anything out of his strengths. And the same with Gainey. Kerry were on top, so the game suited him, and he kicked 5 great scores, and he's in a really good place. And if they play Derry or Donegal or Dublin or Galway and Croke Park, could he run back? Because teams are going to target him. Absolutely, he probably could, but he's not going to. He's not going to score. Really, he's not going to have an impact in the game and what you want and what Paul Gainey is known for doing. So it's how does a manager, and this is why the managers are the best in the business at that level. How do we protect him? How do we get the structure of our team where we nullify the threats of the opposition, but still allow our key players to perform? And if I'm Jack and I'm going to play Paul Gainey, I want him to be in the forward area of the pitch where he can score 3 or 4 points. That's
I know, but there's always going to be the time when you are going to have to go back. And I was always taught, and I was always thinking to myself, that then when you do get that one chance, you have to take it then. No matter how much the legs are burning.
You're usually bollocks.
Your lungs
You're usually
are gone.
bollocks when you get it.
You got to get it then, because you're both tired. But if you get that, your defender then who's been up and down the field, he'll think twice. He'll go, this fucker's fucking going with me, and he's still getting the score. You know, so I think there's an individual element to it as well in terms of your approach when you do attack. But it does depend as well on your team. If your team are defending constantly, you're going to be chasing. Like, it's just absolute horror show stuff. But as you say, Kerry was so dominant against Monaghan, again, he could stay forward, and there wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
What did you like about Kerry, Jimmy? Analyse the game in the first half. No contest.
There wasn't a contest. Do you know what point really summed it up for me was Tom Sullivan's point, where he hit an outside of the left down into the 15 corner to Clifford.
Yeah.
Clifford hopped it, soloed it without a touch, kicks it back to him.
A soft little pass
into the penalty spot, and he fisted over the bar.
The two Monaghan lads chasing him were out of shot on the replay. They weren't in the same camera shot as Tom Sullivan. They come in, he kicked the ball over the bar, and they finally come into it, and he's trotting back out. That was just the Monaghan, and I know Vinnie Curry was so disappointed after, because it's, of all the people, Vinnie Curry's so honest, like flat to the map player for years for Monaghan, and they just looked. They're low on confidence. I get that. They've had a bad run over the last couple of months, and obviously they can't defeat. But they just look lethargic. They've no energy in the play. I know it doesn't help, but when you turn the ball over at the rate they were doing, it was car crash stuff. Just turnover after turnover after turnover, basic skills. And then you're definitely chasing the game then. Monaghan were going to be up against it anyway. But Kerry were really clinical in that first half to get the scores. Tom Sullivan was exceptional again, lads. What a season he's having, and a problem he is for teams. But for Monaghan, what a low way.
Monaghan have Loudon Mead in the group, so that is can play next weekend. But James, just on what Paddy asked you there, and I don't know where you're going to answer him or not, but he asked you what you liked about Kerry, and I want to hear that, because Kerry in that first half,
nothing.
No, Kerry in that first half, I've watched Kerry. There was a definite improvement in that first half.
There was. Kerry were excellent, but the main story is the Monaghan were so bad. I don't think we should be kind of over-analysing a Kerry after that display, because the game was wide open. Like, there was so much space. Paddy was running the whole 45. He could go over and back on his own. They didn't fill the spots there. There was channels. Cornerbacks were running up the full length of the field and outside of the boot, getting it back off the corner forward and fisting a point. It was just so wide open down in Killarney that I wouldn't be saying that Kerry have completely found their mojo. It was great to see them play some unbelievable football, and we know that's in there. But we'll only see the true strength of Kerry once they play the top teams. Yeah,
well, they got 16 points in turnovers, which is a fairly stark, and that obviously feeds into both sides, you know. But Kerry's tackling, their aggression, I thought had definitely upped the level. Their energy levels were up, like there was no chance.
Monaghan gave him a lot of targets to hit, because Monaghan, they weren't just taking on their men; they were going a step too far. They were going into the bodies and just being stripped of it. And then a counter-attack in Killarney, the ball moves so fast there, and the players are trained every day. They know the feel inside out. I must say, every Kerry player did play very well, but we can't go and just say Kerry are brilliant because they won that game, because Monaghan were so far off it.
Yeah, I bumped into some of the players afterwards, and Darragh Roach came on late on.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be back out doing the sprints. You know, the way the S&C coach would get the boys that don't play a full game out doing the sprint. I was like, you're not going to do the sprints. And he said, no, County League tonight. Jack is releasing a few of us to play County League, which is a great sign. Some of the players that weren't playing a full game or whatever were kept in the same rhythm. So I asked Jack about that, and he was like, wants to keep players on the same sort of rhythm with game time and everything. And seemingly that's a big change in the Jack O'Connor from 20 years ago or 15 years ago when he was in his first term or his second term. So game time, obviously, very important.
Playing games for a corner forward. Seeing the bodies... Selling the dummies, kicking the points, so important for confidence. And you can take club confidence into county as a forward. Do you know, as a back, you might have a very handy day out. You might be too physically fast or strong for the for the opposition forward and you take nothing. But as a forward, any points you kick are just added into the confidence bag. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I would be all for it.
Okay. We're going to come back in a moment and talk Galway Derry. Paddy, you were there, and there's so much to talk about that from that game. We're going to look ahead to the weekend too. But just the results in the weekend: Kerry kicking 24 points to Monaghan's 111. Monaghan put a glass in that. It was 15-2 at half time. Mayo kicking 20 against Cavan, 20 points to 1-8. But the injury to Paddy Durkin, as we covered earlier, is the big one from there. We're going to talk Galway 2-14, Derry 15 in a minute. Your predictions may have been a little off for that one, boys. We'll come back to that. And then in the big one in Cusack Park, Clare, who turned over Cork last year in their second win ever against them in Championship, reeled them back in twice, but Cork pulled away in the end. A massive win for John Cleary and Cork, 113 to 111. A big win in that group. Donegal and Tyrone are the other teams in that group. In the Tailteann Cup on Saturday, London and Down was really close for about 45 minutes before Down just blew them away, 124 to 10 points. Waterford and Kildare was really close for about 20 minutes before Kildare blew them away, 5-15 to 6 points. Wexford have lost again. Antrim beating them 115 to 17 points. Offaly have lost again. After losing to London last week, Limerick put them to the sword and rack heel. That's 210 to 8 points. And then Fermanagh bet Carlow by a goal. And Sligo took care of Tipperary with a big score there, 322 to 122. Yesterday, Laois 11 points, Wicklow 10. Bumped into one of the Laois boys at Bruce Springsteen yesterday. They were delighted with the win and he was happy with Bruce. So fair play to them, a big win for them after drawing the first day out. And Barry McNulty from Leitrim, 19 years old.
Big
I think
Basler.
he scored 1-4, kicked a winner in a massive game against Longford, 212 to 17. So Leitrim are playing Kildare next. They're both on 4 points in that group. Under 20s final, James, before we move on, Tyrone looked really, really impressive in Portlaoise yesterday. Kerry had kind of stayed in the mix for a bit, but Tyrone actually did look a class above. I had actually given Roscommon a great chance going into that game, but watching back the Roscommon-Tyrone game, Tyrone have a couple of lads here that are close to being ready for senior into-county football.
Yeah.
McElhone was outrageous. Did you get 7 points from play?
Seven, yeah.
7 from play, and McCullough and Cassidy 5 each. They were outstanding, I must say. Now, in fairness, it was actually a great game, wasn't it? They played. Both teams played aggressive, attacking, but you needed to rely on your close defending. I think the Tyrone forwards were just a little bit ahead of the Kerry backs on the day. Derek Allen played fullback for Kerry. He was coming back from a grade 3 ankle injury.
Wow.
So he had to come off just the end of the first half. So, there's small things like that, but no, the Kerry lads put in a great effort, but I think Tyrone were the better team.
Yeah, a very impressive Tyrone effort. One of our special guests at Roadshow, Owen Mulligan, was coaching the Tyrone 20s a couple of years ago as well, and they had great success there. So we'll ask him what the story is with Tyrone and when we're going to see this explosion of underage
So
success.
getting them into the senior team there. So
yeah.
they have a couple of years of it.
Muggsy as a coach, that'll be very enjoyable. I'm going through his book at the minute, lads. Brilliant book. Released back in 2013. It should be over 18s. It's fantastic. We'll get a couple of great stories from that at our Roadshow in Letterkenny next Friday night. The pod is brought to you every week with thanks to AIB, proud sponsors of the Senior Football Championship, and they are bringing us on the road next Friday night. We're figuring out our travel arrangements before the pod there. I think we've nailed it. So, we'll see you up there in Letterkenny. Tickets are flying. There are a limited few remaining. If you're going to go, if you're on the fence about going, if you're anywhere close to Letterkenny, now's your time to get them. We had a big boost last week when the Tyrone County Board made the decision to move all their adult county league games from Friday the 24th to launching on the 31st of May. So I'm sure there'll be a big Tyrone continued there as well. So we've got Eamon McGee, we've got Owen Mulligan, we've got Paddy Andrews, James O'Donoghue. What a show. And myself. Yeah, we're going to have good fun. So looking forward to that. Lads, we'll be back right after this. Okay, you're very welcome back to the Football Pod with Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue. Paddy, you had an unbelievable view of this game. There was a great shot on Instagram of you. I think you were behind the goals at one stage on the GA Go social account.
Yeah,
very
TV
close
is there as well. Yeah, it's great.
Very close to the action. What did you take from the game?
Deadly, because you were we obviously recorded pitchside, but then with the TVs there, and then you can watch the game as well, so you can see the replays and everything. That was the start of the second half, so Galway had an attack. I'm just class, just watching the set defence of Derry. Galway's movement, trying to break it down. It actually finishes with a brilliant block from Shape with Guigan. And a roar, customary roar as well after the block. You know, if you're a forward and you get a block, you need to let everyone know about it. So it's it was a really enjoyable game, I have to say, as we thought it would be. I know I definitely thought Derry would come and win this game.
Let's pause on that because you two boys were a little bit of stick now. People are getting very touchy and precious about some of the predictions that are going on, and they're very quick to let you both know. Were your phones hopping at the weekend?
No, like what you want to do? Not talk about a bench.
I don't know what people are looking for here, but James,
that game was decided with the red card. Like,
yes.
as good as Galway were,
yes.
that was the main instant of the game. There was 20 minutes gone. The sides were level. McKinless gets sent off, deservedly sent off.
Deservedly sent off.
Reckless act, but sent off, right? Insane. Madness. 20 minutes gone, and that allowed Galway's quality to come through.
The whole game. Derry were going well. Galway were well set. We had a match of Sean McGrath was marking Shane McGuigan, which was a big call. Sean Kelly would pick up Ethan Doherty on the runs when he came up the pitch. Oran Lynch played the same way.
Yes.
He would tell you what, he was getting back a hell of a lot fucking quicker than he was. I think there's the major lesson that was learned.
Paranoia.
Wasn't a major change from what Derry had done. We knew McKaig and Mark Comer, who did a pretty good job. You know, Comer didn't score, even though he obviously had a knock had to go off at the end. But McKaig was on him, and McCluskey picked up Walsh. So there was loads of intriguing battles going around. A bit of a surprise beforehand, which also had an impact outside of McKinless being sent off. Conor Doherty, McAvoy both missed.
McAvoy.
Yes.
Injuries, presumably. Knocks,
McAvoy was there and he was doing a bit, so his doesn't look as serious. No sign of Conor Doherty, but with McGrogan, that's the whole half back line gone.
Huge losses,
which is obviously a big advantage.
And McKinless, let's just hold on McKinless here for a minute. Like, such an important player. Obviously, he broken his nose earlier in the year, came on in the league final and back off. I think he broke his hand as well at one stage, so he's been missing a bit. He's guaranteed minimum a 2-match ban here.
Yeah, he's
got two. It's two he's going to get.
Yeah,
minimum. Like he's definitely getting 2, right? And after the game, we had Boric Joyce obviously raging, and you know he was obviously emotional after the game. It's very hard to comprehend that a man would deliberately go out and try and hurt a fella. I'm just sickened that has happened to Damien Comer. But look, nothing we can do about it now. Punishment will come for that, no doubt. We have to count the cost of Damien's injury. Mickey Hart took a different approach, and he felt that Comer maybe tried to buy the free, but he wasn't excusing.
I don't think Mickey Hart had seen. Maybe he had, and he just ignored it. Mickey Hart did that interview with us, and we were like, "What?" He's accusing Comer of diving, and we're like, he obviously could not have seen what happened. And to be fair, at the time, it was tricky. It was hard to see.
It's a great spot. Now, I have to say, credit is due to the umpires here, and there was a lot of people complaining, even in the hurling yesterday, and there was actually an amazing image. Do you know the 65 at the end? Yeah. And there is an absolutely incredible image. I must dig out who has it, of all the players blocking the umpire's view of the 65. But the word has come back now that actually the linesman and the referee were the ones that gave the umpire the sign, because the umpire went to wave it wide and then put his hand up for the 65. But there's an amazing view. But in the McKinless stamp on Comer, you can see the linesman has there's a great angle on the TV that he has a perfect shot of it. So obviously communication all on point. I have a question for the two of you as teammates. And look, at moments of madness happen. Players do really, really nasty things and stupid things. But as teammates, would either of you have called out your teammate for letting the team down like that?
Oh, you'd be
raging. Yeah. I don't think that it would have happened. I can't think of any.
Come on. There's plenty of moments now Okay, but there have been flashpoints in both Dublin and Kerry games over the years where fingers have ended up in the wrong spot. Thinking of Cork games.
We called it out. We called it out. Yeah, we had a couple.
Would you have called it out in the group? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Really?
Heated it up now, yeah.
He must have been calling out. He must have had some amount of call out meetings.
We were like Tyrone 2 years ago. Every week there was a meeting.
He had Philly on speed time.
Philly be raging. What? What happened?
Well,
I actually go on.
That's the first thing I thought about when I saw the incident. It wasn't poor Comer or that was dirty, or it was just your teammates must be absolutely cracking up. They've put in a month of hard graft to get back to this situation right in the heat of it, and he's let them down. He's let them down there, and I'd rather the players deal with it and it never happened again, and off they go, and they'll be stronger for it. But he'll have to do a lot of soul searching after that. And 2 games missing, that's the rest of the group. He puts them under savage pressure.
Tough
Such
group,
a
particularly
moment of
with the-
absolute madness.
Just the context around it of where Derry were at, a month away. Now it's like come in and show the country what's what. We're back.
Yeah.
They started the game pretty well. I thought they were probably the better team in that first quarter. And you cannot get away from that incident. Derry going on to 40 men. Their style of defence is very attritional, loads of work. It has an impact directly because Conor Glass then has to drop back and he starts playing as +1, and then Paul Conroy starts getting into the game. He gets man of the match. The 2 goals Galway get, they push up massively on Oran Lynch's kick out. They outnumber Derry. They can't do that if McKinless is still on the pitch. Then there's the turnover for Keane Darcy's goal. Like, he's running clean through on goal.
Yes.
Great pass by a Flaherty cross. Again, does that happen if Derry have 50 guys on the pitch? And Mickey Hart, to be fair, put a positive spin on Derry's performance, which I thought was good. In the second half, it would have been easy for them to wilt because Galway had momentum. Galway were playing pretty well themselves. Lachlan Murray, young man, didn't do a lot in the first half. Big game from he comes out and scores 3 points in the second half. So they showed a lot of positives, Derry. But the McKinless thing, we don't like we like singling out players when we're praising them and it's positive. We don't like throwing lads under the bus on this show. We never have. But that incident, you cannot overestimate how big an impact that has because he's such a good player. Because he's so important for them. Oh, he knows. Of course he does. Of
course he
won't need us or anyone else to tell him.
I just
Hart and his teammates have told him.
And I'm not referring to any specific teammates that you've had over the years or incidents, because there actually is loads. And we're not going to make a list of them now. But what I am interested in
I have him here.
How you bounce back from that, right? Because I was speaking to Sean O'Donoghue, the Cork captain, a couple of weeks ago about the high-profile red card with Shane O'Donnell, and it wasn't necessarily dirty. It was stupid, right? He cuts across him off the ball, red card. A heat of the moment action was how he put it, and he felt like he couldn't say sorry to his teammates during the week because it was a mistake. He wasn't going to go around wasting time saying sorry to lads about it. He put the head down. He went back at it again, and that's the way he got at it. But like, how when you do something
what does sorry do after?
Nothing. But
teammates don't want to hear sorry either. Like.
They don't want to hear it. They don't.
But how does that meeting go when you say, well, look what you've done to us? How did you make that work where you were able to turn it around? Because every team needs enforcers, every team needs players playing on the edge, but you don't need a fella crossing the line and getting sent off.
I know, but it's not school either. Like, you know, he's done a stupid act, a moment of madness. He knows more than anyone how much he's fucked up there. Like, there's no doubt about it. He knows it more than anyone. It'll be covered off quickly, and they'll have to move on. They can't be focusing on it. I don't see how that could possibly be dwelled on too much. It has to be nipped and moved on for everyone's sake, because it's they're playing next week. Do you know, it's too important.
McKinless,
the week after.
All he can do, and he's not going to play the next 2 games, so he's got to hope that Derry get their act together and get through to a preliminary quarter final, and he hopes that he trains the gaff down for the next 3 weeks, and that Mickey Hart will trust them to play him in that game if they get there, and they just perform. We're never interested. I know we weren't, and I'm sure that you guys weren't either, Jimmy. Lads make mistakes, going around saying sorry. Like, no, it's just fuck off and go and work your socks off to
prove it.
Get back. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, it's pretty harsh. But for Derry, if you're looking at the game itself, couple of things. Derry's conversion rate in third quarter fell off a cliff. They had 5 or 6 balls dropped short in a row. They were all guilty. It wasn't just one player or Lynch.
That was first half too.
Bradley.
That was first half. Oh, I did third quarter. Sorry, third quarter. Sorry.
Yeah. And that was, for once, lads, Salt Hill was actually relatively benign. There was a little bit of a breeze, but nothing like it normally is there. And the breeze was actually with Derry, so it was just an odd one was going. They were creating the chances, which I suppose is a positive you can take. Their structure was good. They were mixing up. They were putting the ball in deep into McGuigan, into Glass was in there a couple of times, and they had their running game going as well. They just weren't clinical at all. Maybe that's a bit of a rust. I don't know. But for them, the point I make on Derry, right, was it 6 weeks ago now that they won the National League, they bet Dublin a brilliant game, and the whole country was focusing on this team, that they are genuine All-Ireland contenders. And I think they're a serious team. I still think they'll have a massive say in this championship. But that win elevated Derry to everyone was talking about them. They were the focus of everyone. And the challenge for them was, how are they going to deal with the top dogs? The whole country is looking at these goals. This team is going to win the All-Ireland. What that brings is every single team you play against analyses the shit out of you. You become the team to watch, and they'll have a plan for you. And no better man or team than Jim McKinless and Donegal to target that and focus on that.
Yeah.
It also brings pressure on the individual players that you are now, if teams go out and you look at obvious examples is two midfielders, Rogers and Glass, Lauder has been the best midfielders in the country. It becomes an All-Ireland final for every team that plays them. And that brings loads of needle. You probably get more needle than previously. It brings a pressure and a focus. You are now the target. You have a bullseye on your back for Derry, and they have not dealt with that at all. At all. There's one thing, getting to the top of the game or getting very close to the top of the game. It's a fucking completely different challenge to stay there. And you deal with off the ball stuff, being targeted, all your players, your game plan being targeted, and Derry have not dealt with that in those two games. They were out with it all over the pitch by Donegal, and not just the McKinless thing on Saturday. You can see there's a frustration in Derry. They think they should be winning this game, and when things are going against them, the McKinless thing is obviously an example. Kerry McFall was involved, probably looking to stay on the pitch himself.
A couple of things,
getting very, very ratty, and because they're frustrated. Because Galway are giving it to them in absolute spades. And you can imagine, I could hear some of the stuff that's the benefit of being close on the pitch. Derry are getting it in the neck. And that's a challenge. When you're the top dogs and teams are coming for you, and they need to start planning and dealing with that very quickly, because who's their next game against? Armagh. And it's at home. What do you think McGeady and Armagh are going to give them as well? It doesn't get easier for Derry, but that thing of being the team in the spotlight, they have not dealt with that for me over the last 5 or 6 weeks, on an individual basis or as a team.
Do you know, after an hour, I think it was just before the goal,
second goal,
Darcy's goal,
yeah.
McGuigan has a shot in goals, which is saved by Gleeson, and they go up the field and score a goal. So it was 113 to 13. If just say that goes over. If it goes in the net, different story. But if it goes over, they're down to 2. Galway, they're feeling a bit of pressure. Derry are coming. Even though they have 14, they're coming. And next thing, that goal goes in as game over. They just got caught. I think when you're chasing a game like that, you can't have any shot drop short or it come out against you, because you don't have that cover of the extra man. And a lot of the talk around after the game was, sure, they play 15 behind the ball anyway. What difference does one man make? Like that, that is so far off. It's so far off.
Who was saying that, Jimmy? Who said that?
I heard it 1,000 times. It's so far off the mark, because that one man makes such a difference to every attack and every bit of defence. And it frees
the whole
up
defensive structure.
Yeah, and it frees up another defender for the opposition. It makes it harder for you to attack. Just the whole game becomes so much more difficult. Fair enough, it's for 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the game, and you go, do you know what? We'll throw the shackles off. We'll go at it. Not when it's for 50 minutes.
It's an hour, basically.
Plus injury time. It's an hour. They played an hour with a man down, and I think they still put in a very good shift. Now, they did get ratty, I agree, and it's a very good point actually you make that I didn't think about, that they haven't reacted well to that target being on their back, and I agree. But I still think they stood up and they still tried to win the game, but they have learnings to take from it. I still wouldn't be ruling them out. I think they'll have a huge result in them later in the season.
Tasty game.
6 weeks ago, and we were all guilty. Not guilty of this, because I think we were right at the time.
Yeah,
exactly. I think they are a serious team still. They still have brilliant players, but they've to learn some lessons and learn them really, really fucking quickly, because it's coming thick and fast. And the last month has been bad for them, losing players through injuries, now suspension. Confidence has taken a bit of a dent. But I like this Derry team, lads. I have to say, I think they've been exceptional. I think they've got brilliant players, but there's gaps that have been identified in the last couple of weeks, and they need to sort them pronto.
Okay.
Any word on Galway? No word.
That's what I want to get into now. I want to ask you a question, Paddy. because it wasn't an easy job. Who picked man of the match at the weekend?
Michael Murphy.
Now, Paul Conroy had a hell of a game, but I would have given it to Matthew Tierney.
Oh, I was leaning towards John Daly at centre back. Tierney was very good as well.
Daly was tasty. But Daly had an easy day off after 20 minutes.
When the man was set up, he could sit. He likes to sit anyway. But again, your pitch side, he is marshalling that defence, either himself and Dylan McHugh, either side of the D. That's Johnny McGrath had a great game with Shane McGuinn as well. Like, there's a big size difference there, lads. There's a big, and you're thinking, we were looking going, and Derry get McGuigan in the first quarter with a long ball in, he wins the mark. And they're thinking, that's a ballsy matchup there, but he had a great battle with him. Tierney was brilliant. And it's like, we know he can do this. When Killian McDade comes on, it's like Galway in the space of a month, with all their injuries, and Sligo nearly knocking them out of the Connacht Championship, have now, I know Comer's injury doesn't look that bad. Hopefully it's not. But they have become, you have a midfield, or across the middle third, Matty Tierney, Johnny Marr, Paul Conroy, and Comer winning kickouts. Like, that is a serious setup. So I was thinking John Daly, but Conroy gets 3 magic points as well. Jimmy, you leaning towards me, or?
I would have. No, I thought that Conroy was outstanding, and he's just so classy. The problem is with Galway is the Finnerty went off injured and Comer's gone off injured, and Comer
neither of them look that bad.
But Comer was icing a hammer, was it? Was Comer icing a hammer or a quad after the game?
I don't know.
Joyce made out he came off with the ankle injury after the Ricard incident. Like,
I don't think it was the ankle.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. But in fairness, if he's pulled a hamstring, it affects Galway big style. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Westmeath next, and Westmeath will have a plan. We see they'll be well organised. It's at home for them, but Galway on this form, and like Comer comes off, he plays another 25 minutes after the ankle injury or ankle knock. It looked like it's just wrapped around his leg, so I don't know whether it was a quad or hamstring the ice was on. I don't think that's that bad. The same with Finnerty. It was Finnerty kind of nearly looked precautionary. Shane Walsh kind of comes into it a bit in the second half. He's well marshalled by McCluskey, but I thought he had a positive game.
He's getting there though. He's getting there,
and
he had 5 minutes, lads, where he came alive. Turns it on. And it's a bit like Clifford getting scores in Killarney. The noise, the energy that it gives when Shane Walsh does something, it's something else.
They're just tasty scores. But 2 minutes before
that, stuff players can't do. Like,
but he took the free and he kicked it across the. He kicked it across the field and it was intercepted. He was so. There
was some noise out of the crowd when he did that as well.
He's so good. It was. It's just the concentration, I think, maybe at times.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting as well about this whole thing is that Derry could lose again, right? They could lose 3 and still win the All-Ireland. Like, do you know, is it a flaw?
You're going after the structures now, like.
No, I'm not. But I'm just mentioning that
could, like, the structures.
You can't rule out Derry yet or rule anyone out. But like, you could lose 3 games and still win it all. Like.
I'll put you on the spot here now. Where do you think Derry's season will finish?
In the final.
You think they get to the final?
I do. I'm backing my early.
Yourself,
prediction.
go on.
Where do I think their year will end? Oh, Derry won't win the All Ireland unless they top the group.
Top the group.
Why?
They could still top the group if Galway and Armagh goes a certain way on the final day like last year. I don't think Derry are going preliminary round, quarter final,
week on week,
semi final.
But they had no Ulster
in the final. I know, but I just don't see a team winning from the preliminaries. I don't. I think a quarter final.
That extra game.
Yeah, I think that extra game we saw last year, how much it sucked the life out of teams.
So, but you're right then. You'll say.
I think they could get to the All-Ireland final.
Dublin and Kerry will win their groups. The other group, it's tight. Would you probably say Donegal? Donegal play Tyrone at home this weekend.
And Galway.
And Galway.
If they do their job. I do genuinely think that it'll be one of the quarterfinalists. Group winners.
I think I think Derry will get to the final. I don't think they'll win it. I didn't think they win it. I think Dublin will win it, but I think Derry.
Wow.
I still believe in them.
Yeah, well, I'm really loving this Galway side and hoping that they can continue this upward trajectory, because I was giving them a fair chance the last 18 months.
Galway are exciting if all the boys back, and I said
Everyone's
Killy
back.
McDay coming on, and Tierney was brilliant from the start, and it was like, I want to see Galway at full tilt. No injuries. Get Comer back, get Finnerty back. Let's see what this Galway team are made of. They've shown glimpses over the last couple of games, 2 big wins. I'd love to see Galway at full tilt. No injuries. Where can they get to? I'd still have them behind Dublin and Derry.
But the thing is, we're scared last year from Galway because we backed them. We backed them so heavily last year.
To the hilt.
We said this Galway team is phenomenal,
Unbelievable.
And they won their
maybe
first.
that's why we're still a bit reserved.
They bet Tyrone.
When you
Tyrone would have sent it off. Yeah, they did.
They won their first 2 group games.
I was
and
at
then
it.
Ireland
I was
last
at
game.
that as well. I'm the lucky
Okay,
child
lads.
for Joycey.
We have our members pod coming out on Wednesday. We have our roadshow in Donegal on Friday night, our first of the year. We're actually going to have news about our next big roadshow the week after that. So keep your eyes out on that. Yeah, we're going to have news coming out very, very soon about that. So there are 2 months left in the season. And this is just a little mention that there are 80 to 90 quality Off the Ball GA podcasts every month. So if you're thinking about signing up, now's the time to do it. You will get double doses of the football pod every week, where we will be looking in depth at Armagh Westmeath this weekend, Dublin Roscommon, Loudmead, and Donegal Tyrone on our pod on Wednesday night. There's just not enough time to do it during the season on one pod, lads. You know,
Change the structure. Like
James is training tonight. Paddy, you'll be busy this evening. I'll be getting the pod up. So, unless there's anything else that you want to jump in on,
let's chat.
Let's
Let's chat Wednesday.
We'll catch up Wednesday.
Catch up in the Northwest on Friday night with all the fans of the pod. 2 other Ulster legends in McGee and Muggsy.
It's going to be class.
We'll have a right little weekend in Donegal.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Paddy and James, great to catch up this week. On Monday, I will see you Wednesday. And again on Friday, and hopefully we'll see plenty of our listeners there on Friday night as well. Looking forward to it, boys.
All right, boys.
Good night, boys.
See you later.
The Football Pod, live.
Are you sure we can tell this?
Championship season is here, which means one thing. The Football Pod are hitting the road again. First up, Donegal, as Paddy, James and Tommy look ahead to Donegal's clash with Tyrone with some very special guests.
Jesus. No.
It's a family show.
It's happening at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Friday, May 24th. Tickets are €20 plus booking fee. They are limited, so don't delay. Go to offtheball.com/events to book your seat now. The Football Pod, live in Donegal. All with thanks to AIB. #the toughest.
It was quality.